Guys, guitarists are idiots. That is a well-known and verifiable fact, proven by the finest minds of science.
Not verified by scientific fact.
And oftentimes, we can be a stinky bunch of snobs, too. Etched in stone since the day Christopher Columbus first stepped off his tour ship to conquer the New World music scene, guitarists have been playing the same old tune. I think of John Wilkes Booth and his Telecaster copy that he obsessed over. We all know what happened between he and Lincoln. Actually, few people know that Jimi Hendrix was the original Lincoln before Lincoln was Lincoln. Honest James Lincoln Hendrix is what they called him. In his famous speech, 80 and a couple days ago, I was stone free to do what I please, free in the breeze, was later adapted probably to a slightly more useful address by the other Lincoln given the circumstances at the time. That's history, folks. That's how it happened. That's exactly how it happened. Look it up, bro. Guitarists are idiots in many ways, yours truly included. From flipping endlessly through high-end pickups with nothing being good enough until we get to a set of hand-wound German steel baseplate enamel-coated form bar wire masterpieces that cost $500 a set. As guitarists, we truly believe it when the product description on a boutique website says,
"This is the only true-to-spec August from 1957 vintage correct switch, meticulously and lovingly reproduced to give you tons of tone and sparkle and bloom with dead-on accuracy. Don't mistake this for $40 cheapo import switch, guys. This is the real deal."
Yes, as guitarists, we're idiots. And we can be snobs too. And in doing so, we run the risk of elevating ourselves and our equipment to a high vaunted and almost conceited level, while making it that much harder for beginning guitarists to feel like they have adequate equipment. Or even worse, making them feel like they don't belong in our high-flying realm of immaculate guitarism at all. After all, if we spend all our time thumbing our nose at every entry-level and intermediate guitar player that brings a budget guitar on stage at their local open mic, soon enough that open mic is going to be dominated by rich old farts with $3,000 Taylors and Martins playing the same damn Beatles songs over and over again until you go crazy and you run out in a mob of angry townsfolk around Paul McCartney. I've said too much already. Anyhow, we need to take off the veil that tells us all budget and lower priced gear should just be avoided. We need to build bridges, not barriers, for people, especially the next generation of instrumentalists, to help them put down that gain controller and pick up a damn guitar. Now, to drive my point home, I've got two pieces of interesting gear here. I want to get back to the basics and rock out as if I'm a young player just on his or her way back from the pawnshop after picking up their first gear, stars in their eyes, maybe hopes of a big rock career. First off, for guitar, I'm going to play with this vintage zip guitar, which I consider the ultimate pawnshop deal. The vintage zip guitar is kind of a unique guitar in the pantheon of budget guitars, with the all-Wilkinson hardware, the wraparound bridge, and the characteristics that combine a Gibson Nighthawk and a Dan Electro. This was kind of a unique mid-2000s offering. It was marketed as a semi-hollow body, and it's light as a feather, though it's more so a chambered body. It's got Wilkinson Easy Lock tuners, which is really helpful. These pickups you see are actually two ceramic single coils wired in series, which give you a healthy 10.72 in output. Under the cavity you can split these off, the extra leads are under that piece of tape. What's interesting is the way this is baked as a result of the UV light. It's gone from kind of a canary yellow to a TV yellow, which is cool. And for an amp, I'm going to be playing through this Gibson branded solid state amp. The Garnet G25 is a pretty basic 25 watt student amp from the early 1980s. Manufactured by long-term Canadian amplifier manufacturer Garnet Amplifier Limited in Winnipeg. It has a pretty basic configuration here with an effect, a 3-band equalization, and preamp stage as well, high and low inputs. The effect literally just controls the switchable gain here, and that gain seems to clip softly, if you know what I mean. Characteristic of amps of this era, it has a high and low input. It's also got a line out, I think probably because if you were a student and you wanted to go to a board in the music room, it's there. And here's a shot inside the chassis. This was extremely dirty, making the amp almost non-functional when I got it from the pawn shop, so a whole lot of deox that really cleaned that up. And here's the date stamp, 12/1984. Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas, 1984, that is. And to round out the trifecta of gear purchased from Pawnshops, I'm going to record through the Shure SM94 condenser instrument microphone. Great flat response microphone, perfect for recording guitar amps and such. I think this will do just fine. Anyways, let's get down to the sounds of this combo, and hopefully I'll get my point across. The most important thing is a good guitar, a great tone, and the will to rock and roll. So there you have it, folks. A beginner's combo, much like a starting guitarist might pick up, and all bought from local pawn shops. Guitar, amp, microphone, cables, phased plasma rifle in the 40-watt range, etc. Is it the Mark 8 combo that's going to get their name up in lights on a global world tour? Well, I don't think anyone is suggesting that, but I think I've shown, especially through my continually meager guitar skills, that this is something that's going to get a beginner well on their way, this combo. Personally, I thought it sounded pretty good for a combo that costs less than $350 total, and the whole combo can put out an adequate rock or grunge or even a bad Nickelback cover band tone, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. So with that little demo in mind, I ask you, is gear snobbery and constantly flaunting all of our high-end instruments and amps really worth it? Or is it more important to drop our pretensions? And if the latter, what do we really need to do, especially us hoity-toity YouTubers, to stop being gear snobs and start being gear guides for once? First, we should recognize that the obsession we have with gear has a diminishing rate of returns. You've just spent $900 on an original Telecaster control plate that's so corroded out it looks like something James Cameron pulled up from the wreck of the Titanic. Your attempts to make a vintage instrument period correct have reached ridiculous lengths, and your wife is ready to file for a divorce. That obsession matters to almost no one else but you. Second, we need to be more fair in how we look at gear. Yes, really cheap guitars from Temu probably don't deserve the dignity of a review, and I'm totally in favor of those guitars being violently destroyed with an axe by a rogue customs officer. But good beginner and intermediate guitars like the Yamaha pack I reviewed a few videos ago, and lots of great and fun guitars on the used market exist and are great options. And thank you to all who commented on that video, by the way. Those are the kind of axes which really level the playing field in terms of affordability and quality. And third and final, we have to do more to support beginners that start with budget brands. If a young person starting out brings a quirky old used guitar like this on stage, something like a Squier Affinity Strat, I recommend taking note of what they're playing, taking note of their performance, and of course, as the situation merits, you can take the opportunity to compliment them and let them know about other options once they're ready. Teach, don't preach, folks. Money doesn't grow on trees for everyone, and your Gretsch Tennessean is a fine little instrument, but probably meaningless for somebody just starting out. Anyhow, guys, I know this was a long, somewhat talky, often preachy video, and likely many turned off in the first 5 seconds or, 5 videos ago. But if you made it this far, thank you so much for sticking with this drawn-out spiel that probably seemed like it was never going to end. In conclusion, a new generation of guitarists stands ready to take up instruments, and it should be part of our mission to give them guidance, options, and encouragement. By putting aside our own pretensions, not scoffing at so-called lesser brand names that guitarists bring up on stage and accessories and parts, and enjoying the music while offering advice where warranted, we can be better ambassadors and better role models for those just starting out. And ultimately, at the same time, we can reconnect with our roots and get back to the basics in the process, which is what I think we could all use a little bit of once in a while. Anyways, guys, thanks again for joining me. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, etc., etc., etc. Keep on playing and keep watching the channel for a whole lot more.